Welcome back to our channel, everyone. Today, we have a story that delves deep into trust, betrayal, and the difficult decisions we face in relationships. It's a tale that might make you question what you would do in a similar situation. The title of our story is My New Wife Lied About Her Past. Now I'm questioning everything. Should I stay? Grab a cup of tea, sit back, and let's get into it. Wife of 3 weeks lying to me already. I just found out that a guy my new wife works with was once a fling. We have been together for 3 years, and we just got married a month ago. I have asked her if there was anything between her and this guy before because of the way he acts when I am around. She always says no, I have never had anything to do with him. She swore. I've asked her more than on one occasion during our time together, and she always says no. The night before our wedding, her friend made a comment about something, and I kind of put 2 and 2 together, and 3 weeks later asked her again, and once more she denied it. Then she said they just went out and it meant nothing. Then I kept asking, and she finally admitted they slept together when they were drunk. They work alone together at night in a hospital, same room. Should I be pissed? I mean, she lied to me, her husband, and she continued to lie. I even asked her on the night before our wedding if there was anything. She wanted to tell me, and of course she said no. Who wouldn't be upset about this? I understand the past is the past, but this is not part of her past when she is still seeing this guy at work and texting and calling him. I'm not sure if I can get past this. I hate liars. The first month of marriage, and this comes out, it should have came out before we were married. She had plenty of time to come clean. What would you do? I should mention they did the deed over 5 years ago. So, she says, comments. She is still calling him and texting him. Wow, I don't think you are overreacting at all. Without being married, you experience trickle truth. That's when, as you go more and more about a relationship, people with more experience and smarts than I will give you some great advice here. Your best bet is to listen to what they say and act. As for me, first thing I would do is insist that she change jobs. That would be the minimum. Good luck. I would react the same as you. Why hide the fact that she slept with him? She lied to you. Why? Lies create doubts. Let her know that. I personally would tell her how it's made you feel mistrusting towards her, and she needs to understand that a marriage is about being a team. Have a long talk about it and find out why she lied. It's important to know. It's probably not just the one time. Can you say trickle truth? Don't trust anything that comes out of her mouth. You are living a lie. Only weeks into marriage, anal and get out. You want to be walking on eggshells all the time, wondering if your future kids are yours. Hope he responds. You are right, I did lie and I should have been honest. I didn't lie to get what I wanted. I lied out of fear, the fear of being judged, of losing you and being a disappointment. This is part of an email I received this morning after leaving the house without saying a word to her. And they don't call or text a lot, just occasionally. And it is usually work-related. He just had a kid with another woman and they are getting married. Thing is, I am pissed that she lied, but it was a long time ago. And she had a BF for 5 years after their one-night thing, and I know he dated her roommate, but what pisses me off is why did she lie, she says, because she didn't want me to judge her, but what the hell? And who knows why the BF before me found out and blew up about it. And that's why, I don't know, I'm just shocked. She had a BF before me for 5 years, and he was before him. We have been together the last 3 years, just trying to state the fact that he was way before me. I'm not going to make a rash emotional decision. I'm going to drink and clear my head and figure out what I want to do. And if I decide to end it, I'm going to get all my crap in order first. I checked the county website but couldn't find an annulment form, so I will have to go down there. Hope they are open tomorrow morning. I'm not going home tonight. I'm going to find somewhere else to stay. Well, I am home now and she is here, and come to find out this happened after the 5-year BF, and a month before me she said she broke with her ex, got drunk, and slept with this guy. She said she never told anyone because it meant nothing and she was embarrassed about it. I talked to her best friend tonight about it, and she didn't know and said she's never seen anything happen at work. Kind of drunk now and sitting outside in front of the fire trying to clear my head, but it's not working. Life is too short for this. I don't get it. She is all feeling bad and crying, but it's all kind of I'm sorry, poor me crap. 3 years of the same lie is what is bothering me. She told the same lie the night before our wedding. This is crazy. What did I do to deserve this? And the kids are going to get hurt from us breaking up. Comments. OP, this is a tough one. On one hand, you could argue that this happened before she met you. The past is the past. I hate that cliche. And that you have no solid proof that she has been unfaithful to you since she's been with you. On the other hand, this is a huge red flag, and the incessant lying and slow trickle of information is not working in her favor. When you first posted, I figured that she did this 5 years ago while she was in her teens or early 20s. But then you mentioned that she is 31. So clearly this is not just some college fling or puppy love. She's a grown woman, and there is probably more to this story than you even want to know. She works with this guy on a frequent, daily basis, which itself isn't an issue. But you had suspicions for a reason based on his demeanor around you. And obviously your suspicions had some veracity in them. A month into a marriage is too soon to be having problems like this, but giving up so quickly isn't necessarily the best answer either. Assume she is telling the truth, that she ducked the guy once 5+ years ago, and that she has never been unfaithful to you in the meantime. Would this be acceptable to you? Probably, and if she's being honest with her info, albeit lying by omission, then you should be able to get through this with solid communication moving forward. However, in her case and at her age, her story has more holes than a golf course, and you're still discovering more holes. We don't have all of the intangible information, so it's easy for us to say divorce, but as an outsider looking at this, it's really difficult to take her story with this other guy seriously. OP responds, I told her that Friday night that I wanted her to delete him from her phone and no more calls. She was pretty hysterical that night, so maybe she freaked when she seen he called, and that's why she deleted the VM. Just a thought. I am really trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, but it's not easy. She even said that are not alone much at work. Well, her dad was just admitted to the hospital for a knee issue, and I had a chance to see the inside of the lab and look at it from a where would you cheat point of view. Let's just say it would be very easy to get away with it in that lab. His wife works at the hospital too. I'm thinking of hanging out around super time and see if I can run into her, get to know her, and mention the past to her. Yeah, well, I'm not giving in, things aren't the way they were. I remind her of the situation all the time, not daily but close. She is working Friday night, and she said she was working with a woman who we both know but didn't know who else she was working with. She said she hasn't checked yet to see, but her work schedule is hanging on the wall next to her desk here at home, so it's obvious who she is working with, and it's him. What's sad is I want to believe her, and I know she is head over heels for me, but she said she lied because she would leave her if I found out about him. And I would have called off the wedding until I knew the truth. How could she love both of us? I mean, we are really close. That's why it's so hard to imagine her messing around. How can I really know? I've never seen so many red flags in my life. But I cannot leave just yet. I need to secure my financial situation first. I am watching her. I at random had her log into her email and work email, and she also gave me her cell phone website username and password so I could check phone records. She also agreed to take a polygraph. Update, we have been ducking like rabbits. I'm not going to let this get in the way. I have made it very clear that if anything else comes out, I am gone. And yes, she did serve me a crap sandwich, which could have been taken care of a long time ago. Can't always focus on the negative. The situation with the wife is still the same. She offered up her phone records and said she would take a polygraph. The only testing site is 90 miles away and only works Monday to Friday. I am working on getting that in order. She has been switching shifts with people she works with, so she doesn't have to work with him at night. No more lies that I am aware of so far. I still have a suspicion in my mind about why he called that night and the VM. I can only imagine what that said. Other than that, I have been watching her the best I can. I have a VAR, but it hasn't turned up anything yet. Has anyone ever been able to get through this type of problem? It seems on here the stories all lead to the big D. Half a year later. Update, life is good, or has been so far, no worries. But tonight, I found out she is working with him again. I found out because I checked her schedule. Until now she has been changing shifts with her friends, so she would not be working with him. It really hasn't been an issue. So should I bring this up? I mean, she didn't ask if it was okay or if I would be concerned if she was working with him again. I haven't even let her know that I know that she is working with him. She was first with him 3 weeks before we met. It wasn't years before, it was weeks. And to get you all up to date, she is now pregnant with my child. Hope you guys get through your problems out there. Story 2, what to do. My story is I have been married for almost 12 years. I was always happy for the most part. Sure, we had our arguments from time to time, but I was happy. We have a son that is about to turn 10 and a daughter who is 6. My wife has been unhappy at times and told me at different times that she didn't feel like there was any communication between us, and she said I wasn't there for her emotionally. This last January she said we needed to talk, and she informed me that I needed to find some place to live, that we needed to separate. I talked to her and said that is not what I wanted and said I could do better. After about a week she agreed to me not moving out. I thought things were going fine, and she even commented to me that she told one of the girls she works with that I was doing a lot better and that I really seemed to be listening to her and paying more attention to her. Early March she was planning a trip the weekend of May 1st to run a marathon with her sister. She wanted me to go. I told her I would like to go, but I couldn't because I couldn't take off work the Friday before and Monday after the marathon. Plus, my son was in a baseball tournament that weekend and I helped coach his team, and I would also have my daughter. She got really mad at me because I wasn't going to go with her. We got through that, so I thought. I talked and texted her a few times while she was gone, and I could tell there was something wrong. I picked the kids up early on Monday so they would be there when she got home. When she got home the kids ran and hugged her and I gave her a hug, but she was cold as ice. We walked in the house and she went to lay down and I walked in the bedroom and she said we need to talk. You need to find a place. I begged, pleaded, and everything else for a week. But no give. She said she needed space, so I rented an apartment. Was there for a week and she called and said we needed to talk. So I went by there and she said she was scheduling an appointment with a mediator, that she wanted a divorce. I work an odd shift schedule, 1 month of nights and then 1 month of days. So we told the kids I was living in the apartment so I can sleep during the day when I work nights. My son cried and said he didn't want me to live anywhere else. I teared up and she gave me a look from Satan himself and said I was going to have to control myself. We went to the mediator and split everything, including the kids, 50-50. She filed in June and our last court date is early November. We have done some things together with the kids, like a family vacation. But I don't know how to act towards her when we were on the vacation a couple of weeks ago. I didn't say a whole lot to her and she said in front of the kids, I know you usually don't say much. But the silence is defining. This only confirms everything. My son looked at me and said he has been talking. She shot back at him that he needed to stay out of the conversation. We went to the WWE wrestling a couple weeks ago together, and at dinner before the event my STBXW asked my son what he wanted for his birthday. And he said, my dad to move back home. She snapped back as cold and mean as I have ever heard. Well, that's not going to happen. So if you want something you better think of something else. I'm sorry for such a long post, I just don't know who this person is. She would have never said anything like the things she is saying to the kids now. After she said that to my son about his birthday, she went to the bathroom and my son says to me she's not always like this, and I said like what? And he said like this. She is only like this when we are all together. I'm wondering if she just tries to be in a bad mood or tries to start arguments in front of the kids to justify to them that that is why the divorce is happening. That mom and dad argue too much to stay together. I just wanted to add I love my wife and want my family together. I told her I would do whatever it takes for that to happen. She says she notices the changes in me towards the kids and it makes her even madder. I wasn't a bad dad before, but I'll admit I am a better dad now. But as she says, too little too late. Just last week I went over to the house to mow the yard and she came home and we talked a little and she actually said it wasn't a bad marriage. I thought to myself, then why is it ending? The last time we were all together she looked at me and asked why I was in a good mood so much lately. I asked if she wanted me to be in a bad mood. She said it just looked so fake. I said if my being in a good mood was any indication that this is what I wanted, that wasn't the case, but I have no control over what is happening and I'm dealing with it the best I can. She says it makes her even madder that she couldn't bring out the good in me. I agree with you, gearhead, on she is committed to the course. It's like a racehorse with blinders on, racing to the finish. And the kids' feelings are minor, going to keep her from getting there. My first mistake, moving out. She actually said to me, if you don't move out I am. I should have let her, but I had no clue it was going to crumble this fast. I moved out 2nd week of May and 3rd week of May went to mediator. Someone else was one of the first things I asked. She said no. Her sister and brother-in-law said no. And I really don't think there was, because I think he would have surfaced by now, or I think she would have told me to be honest. She likes to throw the divorce in my face a lot and tell me what a screw-up I am and how I caused this whole mess. I work nights sometimes, so I have to sleep during the day. Last night I called to see if I could get the kids today after work and she said no. Why don't I go back to sleeping all day and see the kids for 15 minutes before I go to work? I think she is seeing that I am doing better, so now she is going to try and hurt me with the kids. Update, I called just a moment ago to ask if I could pick up the kids and she said it again. Your fake personality is repulsive. And I just laughed and said, what on earth are you talking about? She said, your fake cheery personality. I am an IC, and I said the same thing to my counselor, that in today's times it could be another woman. I really don't think so, but hey, you never know. I don't want it to sound like I did nothing wrong in our marriage, but there was never any screwing around, drinking or meds. I could have shown more love and appreciation to her and my kids. I wasn't perfect by any means, but in my mind, not a deal breaker. My wife and I are separated, about to officially be divorced now for. She filed, I don't want the divorce. I admit I got complacent in the marriage and didn't show enough love and appreciation as I should have, obviously, or we wouldn't be where we are. I never stopped loving my wife or our 2 children. I guess I just didn't show it enough. We separated in early May, and at first, I did the usual begging and pleading. Later I found out that is what you don't want to do. So I backed off. When I have the kids on my weekends, she said she doesn't do good without them and she can't sleep. She feels alone. I told her that I love her and don't want this and that we can work on our problems. She said it is just weird that I want to work on the relationship now, that she can't go backwards and it is too little too late. I just can't understand how a parent who misses their kids so much is willing to see them half the time and give up on the marriage. She says she has worked on our marriage the last 11 years and she is exhausted and has no work left in her. She said she doesn't know if she can forgive herself for the misfortune that this will affect our kids, 10 and 6, but is not willing to stay and work on the marriage. There is no other man that I know of and no drinking, drugs, or anything of the sort, just that I haven't been there for her emotionally, and she says we have grown apart. I just don't understand how you can just give up on your marriage and be willing to see your kids half of the time, but then cry because you don't do good without the kids. I guess she has been hurt by me more than the hurt of missing our kids. Not physically but emotionally hurt, not feeling loved. My son's birthday was Saturday and they stayed with me Friday night. We went over to the house Saturday and my STBXW and I were working on his birthday cake. We bought an ice cream cake and we were turning it into a wrestling ring with black twizzles as corner posts and candy straws as the ropes. She cut part of the cake off to make it square and used part of the piece she cut off to use as steps to get into the ring. I said, "That is pretty cool, I never thought of making steps, that is a good idea." She says, "Nothing you say is sincere." About 10 minutes later she says, "This is gonna sound weird, but you need to leave and come back in a couple of hours. I need to be here with just the kids." I got mad, but didn't say anything. Told the kids bye and my son asked why I was leaving. I got in my truck, pulled out of the driveway, and turned the corner and pulled over, shut my truck off and walked back in the house. My daughter asked what I forgot and I said nothing. I walked into the kitchen and calmly told her that it was my son's birthday and I'm going to spend the day with him, and if she couldn't handle being around me, she needed to leave. She said, "You're in a $sign hole." I said, "Maybe, but I'm not leaving." I guess she called her sister because she left with her to go get a coffee. She came back about 15 minutes later and said, "I don't care if you stay here, but you were just smothering me in the kitchen with your fake conversation." Some of my son's friends came over for his birthday and we took them to lay laser tag. When we got back, she went straight to bed and I stayed with the kids. I checked on her and she said her sinuses were killing her. I got her some medicine and another blanket because she was freezing. I could see she was crying and I asked if she was all right and she said that she just has bad anxiety. I said, "Anxiety over what?" and she just said her life. And she doesn't sleep at all without the kids there. I told her to get some rest and I would be there with the kids. She did let me touch her forehead to see if she had fever. It was really nice to touch her. I told her just the other day that through all the mean things she has said and the attitude she has had with me, I still love her and I always did and always will. Love is among other things a choice and I choose to love her. Her sister called me the other day and told me she is still trying to talk to her, and she said she told her that through all he has been through he still loves you. That has to mean something. Her sister said, "What has he been through?" Her sister said, "He was kicked out of his home and separated from his family." I really am proud of the way I have not really gotten mad through all of this. Gotten really frustrated but haven't yelled or gotten mad and said things I would regret. I hope that counts for something in her eyes. She told me Sunday that it is just weird that I want to work on the relationship now and she doesn't. I said, "Did you think I would just say okay and walk away?" I went and bought some flowers today and left them at the house for her when she gets home. She works late tonight and I have the kids. I just left a handwritten note that said, "I hope this makes your day a little brighter. Rose, I will take the advice you gave with the kill her with kindness." I have looked at the 180 and like some of the concept, but I think some of it was part of the problem in the marriage. She feels I didn't appreciate what I had and she felt like we weren't good friends and we didn't grow together and have an emotional connection. But in all reality, nothing I say is going to be right in her eyes now. So my actions may speak a little louder. I pray every day the Lord will soften her heart, and if it is His will then that is what He will do in His time. The kids and I went to my son's hitting lesson last night and she showed up not long after it started. We talked for just a second about maybe getting my son some strength and agility training. Then she tries to argue with me about how I don't need to be at every one of my son's hitting lessons. I work in odd shifts so I schedule them around my schedule. He goes on Wednesday one week and then Friday the next week. But I schedule them so she can be there also if she wants. She said I shouldn't schedule them around my schedule, that I don't have to be at every one of them and that I don't go to every one of my daughter's gymnastics lessons. I told her if we were able to change my daughter's schedule, I would do that, but it is Mondays only and I work every other Monday so I miss every other week. I told I would be at every one of my son's lessons. I'm sorry. Every year before now I have coached my son's baseball team. She said now that you are not coaching you don't have to be at every one. I guess she just doesn't want me to be there or she is just trying to argue over nothing. We left there and she said we needed to come by the house and get the kids some clothes for the kids' school pictures today. I said we were, and while we were doing that I would fix the dishwasher. We get over there and I worked on the dishwasher and got it running. There were a lot of dishes in the sink so I started loading. She said no, I'll do that, and I said I got it. She walked through the kitchen a few minutes later and said stop doing that, I'll do it. Again I said I got it. I finished putting the ditches in and started it. Then my son wanted to play catch with the football, so we went outside to play catch for a minute. When we went back in, she seemed to be in a hurry for us to leave, so we left. As we were leaving, she gave me a thanks for fixing that. I didn't get a chance to talk to her much about us because the kids were there after we were at the apartment for a little bit. I called her and asked her when exactly she wanted to have the kids this weekend for her birthday. And she said whenever. I said it was her choice and I wasn't going to deny her the kids on her birthday. I did ask her when did my son ask her if I could move back home for a week and see how it goes. She seemed to get agitated and said the last time she had them she couldn't remember. They were lying in bed and he asked her and she said that's not going to happen. We tried that. It didn't work. When you get older you will understand. I don't know if she says these things in a hateful tone to my son or just to me. I told her I was just wondering when he asked her and what was said. She said it was no big deal. I said okay and the phone went dead. I called back and asked if she hung up on me because she didn't say bye or anything and she said I thought you were done talking and I said no, I still want to talk to her face to face and she said what do you want and I said you. She said well that can't happen and we are not putting this off. I told her I loved her and I wasn't giving up on us. Later on, I sent her a text saying I would like for us all to go to dinner for her birthday. And she never replied. The kids and I stopped by the house this morning to get some different pants and she seemed to be in a good mood. Not towards me, but in a good mood. We left and I told her to have a good day. After I dropped the kids off and got back to my apartment I called and asked her if she found out what is supposed to happen in court tomorrow, and she said she doesn't know that she would send me the email from the attorney but we were not putting this off. She asked me why I needed to know and I said because I am part of this also and I wanted to know what is going on. She said she would be walking around dazed and confused but the attorney hopefully would know what was going on. She said she was sending the email right now but when I got the email it was a confirmation from my son's hitting lesson that I sent her. I sent her an email back and told her I didn't get it and that I didn't want to delay it. I wanted to stop it. I loved her and wanted to do whatever it takes to keep our family together. She said I'm a good guy and a great father but there just isn't an emotional connection. She said to me not long ago that it wasn't a bad marriage, she just sees it as what it is to people that didn't grow together but grew apart. She did finally send me the email from the attorney and she is supposed to go before the judge Friday at 1:30. I'm not obligated to be there but I am going to be there. I plan on getting her to talk with me after. I am on the night shift right now so I couldn't talk to her tonight. She never responded to my request that the kids and I take her to dinner Saturday night. So I texted her right before I walked into work saying I guess it was a no on the dinner with the kids and I. But if she would go to dinner with just me that would be great. I also said I know that she didn't mean to be hurtful when she said she got married and had the kids and she could mark those off her bucket list. Although it did hurt. I said I know that was just her hurt talking. She responded telling me to stop playing the victim and quit turning her words into negatives. And if I took that as such then that confirms the fact that I absolutely don't know her at all. I texted her back and said I'm not playing the victim and I was just trying to tell her I know where she is at and I know it is her hurt that is lashing out and I understand that. I told her that I have always and still do love her. I just made the mistake of not always showing my love. But it was always there. I told her my mistakes have hardened her heart for me but it isn't something we can't overcome. I told her that I carry the guilt every day that I hid my love for her from her. And the guilt that our kids will only see us half the time because of it. I agree with the letting her get mad. We had a couple of talks a couple of months ago, and she really let me have it. I told her I thought that was good for her as hard as it is to hear it. The last couple of weeks she has kind of been nice, but the last couple of days she has been a viper. I called the house tonight and was going to talk to the kids about 8 and no one answered. So I called her cell and she didn't answer. So I texted her and asked if they weren't home or was she just not answering. She never responded. I called again about 9 and my son answered. I talked to him for a few minutes and he asked when he was getting to stay with me and I said probably not until Sunday. He said but I thought we were coming to your house on Saturday. I said well you and Sissy are going to stay with Mom on Saturday for her birthday. He said well why can't we stay with you until we go to eat at the Japanese steakhouse. I said are you guys going there to eat Saturday night? And he said yes, are you not coming? He turned and said Mom, is Dad not coming to eat with us? I could hear her in the background say no, Dad has to work. Which isn't the truth. I told my son that I wanted to talk to my daughter. But my wife said no, we are studying for her spelling test tomorrow. I said okay, I'll call back in a minute. I called her cell and it immediately went to voicemail. Then I called the home phone and no answer. I texted her and said I would like to take her and the kids golfing Saturday. And I was just wanting to tell my daughter good luck on her spelling and reading test tomorrow. I also asked if she wanted me to take my son to a friend of his birthday party on Sat. She did respond with the party got moved to next Sat. I replied with, if you don't want to go play golf or to dinner, all you have to do is say no. I don't get the no answer. She never responded back. I'm not going to give up, but I think it is a lost cause. I was just a stump in the relationship, and I sat on the sidelines. But we always went and did things together, and as a family I don't go out with the guys or anything like that. We have been to Vegas a few times. But yet she says I never wanted to do anything with her. Sometimes I think she really just doesn't love me anymore, but I hope her anger means she still cares. Well, I got a call this morning saying that the attorney needed me to sign a paper before court today. I asked her what paper and where. She said she would send me the email. The email didn't show, so I called her back and said I didn't get it. She said it was just a paper with numbers all broken down and the child support numbers, and that she was just supposed to go before the judge and tell him that she didn't want the child support. I said, okay, I'll meet you at the courthouse. She calls back about an hour later and says the attorney said that I didn't need to sign it and that I wasn't obligated to be there and was no need to be there. She said that they weren't trying to pull something over on me, that it was just she had to tell the judge that she didn't want the child support. I said okay, but with every intention of going. I show up at the courthouse, and I see her and the attorney walking in the other door and wait on them. They turned a corner and I followed them up the escalator until they seen me. We go into an empty courtroom, and he tells us to sit on a bench and he would get the judge. While we are sitting there, she says, what are you doing here? You didn't have to be here. I said I am involved in this and I want to know what is going on. She said, he is defending me, well, not defending but representing me. I said I know that, but I still want to know what is going on. Just about that time the attorney says you can come back here. So I let her get up and he says you can come back here also. We go into the judge's chamber, and he says to us, raise your right hand and do you swear to tell the truth? And so on. The attorney asks us some legal stuff, and the judge signs some papers and says you are now officially divorced and by law you cannot marry for 6 months. Wow, never seen this coming. We walk out of the judge's chambers, and the attorney says we don't have to worry about the November 4th date. He would take care of it. He turns to the court clerk and says strike the November for date, it is taken care of. We walked out and the attorney had another case, so he went a different direction. We were going down the escalator, and I say, does this mean we are officially divorced? And she said, I think so. Then she laughs and says, are you upset we can't marry for 6 months? I didn't respond and turned the corner and left. When I got down the road away, I called her and said, would you like to talk about what just happened? And she said she is as shocked as I am and that she had no clue that was going to happen, that she had her brain wrapped around fourth, and that she thought that was the final day. But this didn't change anything. She said we were just incompatible, and that I didn't do the things that she needed, and that I did what I thought I needed to do, but it wasn't enough for her. She said it doesn't make her way right or wrong, or my way right or wrong, just incompatible. She said she doesn't love me, and I can't make her love me. She said she wants to find someone that understands her and that can appreciate her for her. I was just in a day, so I don't remember what all else was said. But she said she had to go because she couldn't drive and talk. I went home to change clothes and call work to tell them I wouldn't be in tonight. I went to the family home to get my boat out of the garage, and she called and said she was just calling to check on me and see if I was all right. I said no, I'm not all right, that I didn't want this, and I don't want to lose my kids. She said you're not losing the kids. And I said I am losing them half the time, but it wasn't just the kids. I love her and this just isn't what I wanted. I know we could have worked on us and got through this, but now we will never know. She said that is where we are different. I don't love you and the kids are fine. She said she is happy now, and if the parents are happy then the kids will be happy. I said I didn't agree, and that I was at the house getting my boat out of the garage. She says, oh, you're getting your boat out of the garage. Thanks. Then she hung up. I took my boat down to my mom and dad's house, and while I was down there, I saw where she posted on her Facebook. It's official, real classy. She called just a moment ago and said she was just checking on me and said really sarcastic, I was worried about your mental state. I didn't even respond to that, I just said call me when the kids get up tomorrow so I can come get them. That has been my thought the whole time, but nothing ever surfaced. It wouldn't surprise me, but I just don't know. I'm definitely going to start the 180 for myself for sure, hopeful one day soon I can let go. But I just don't do good without the kids. It is just heartbreaking, that is just the part one don't understand. How you can just give up on a marriage that she described as not a bad marriage and break up our family and give up half the time with the kids. I could have it explained a million times and I wouldn't understand. Maybe someday I will. Update, I had the kids last night and she called to talk to the kids. I asked the kids if they wanted to talk and they said they were good, meaning they didn't want to talk on the phone. She said, I make them talk to you when you call. Now keep in mind she will only answer half of the time when I know they are home, and when I text her asking about the kids she rarely responds. So I handed the phone to my son and told him to talk to his mom. He talked to her for just a second, then handed the phone to my daughter. She talked for just a second, then got off the phone. Ex calls today and says she is just calling to check on me. I said I was fine and she asked what I was doing. I said I was looking on the net for houses, and she asked where at, and I said I was just looking. I told her I wasn't going to get one soon, but we'll have to eventually. She suggested a couple of areas and I said thanks. Then again, she said she was just calling to check on me. I said I'm fine and thanks. When I picked my kids up from school, my daughter said she needed to make a poster for school. And it was supposed to be turned in today. I asked her how to come. I am just now finding out about this. And she said they sent a paper home last Thursday. The ex had them Thursday and Friday. I called her and asked if she knew where this paper was, and she said it was at home and that she would help her with it. I said we were going to go by the house to get the paper. She said she was on her way and would be there shortly. The kids and I found the paper and left. She texted me not long after and asked if we already left, and I said yes. We are going to get some poster board. But would she get some family photos to use on the poster and bring them to my daughter's gymnastics tonight? She never responded, so I sent her a text back saying yes, no, maybe. She finally responded yes, of course. While we were at my daughter's gymnastics, I told her if she wanted to help with the project, that was fine. But she would never let me come help with something like that when she had them. She said she didn't care either way. If I didn't need her help, she wouldn't help. I said I could handle it. Right before we left, she asked if we could agree to do the holiday schedule like we always do the kids, and I would go to my parents' Thanksgiving for lunch. Then drop the kids off so she could go to her mother's Thanksgiving night. I said that was fine. She said Christmas the kids and I would go to my parents' Christmas Eve and she could have them Christmas. She said that way it will be the same as it always has been for the kids. I said it won't be the same because I have always been there Christmas morning after Santa came. She said, well, Santa can come Christmas Eve at your house and Christmas Day at hers. I said it wasn't going to be normal any way we do it, but I guess that way was as good as it can get. She said, I think it will be fantastic. Maybe we can switch off every year. I said that sounds good. She stays at gymnastics for just a minute to fill out a paper and the kids and I left as we were pulling out of the parking lot. She came walking out the door and was walking right in front of us. I gave my truck some gas like I was going to run over her. Mind you, we were about 20 yards from her. And she gave me a go-to-hell look and shook her head. I thought it was funny, but she didn't see any humor in it. She didn't even wave or anything to the kids. Oh well, I'm being nice. I will look up the manning up. It is just in my nature to be a nice guy, but I understand what you are saying. Nice guys do finish last, I guess, in my case anyway. I called the kids last night about 9 to tell them good night, and while I was talking to my daughter, I could hear her in the background saying, okay, that's enough. Let your brother talk. Then my son talked about the Sakans, and my wife said, okay son, that's enough, talk to him tomorrow. The only reason I called at 9 was because I called about 8:30, and no one answered. I texted her later and said the screaming in the background was a little ridiculous. She texted me back this morning and said she didn't mean to be a jerk, but the kids were in bed. I texted her back and said she was being a jerk because the kids couldn't have been in bed for more than 2 minutes and it wasn't like I was going to talk for 30. And if she would answer the phone, it would have been a non-issue. I hate to do it, but I can play the not answer game when I have them. Half the time she never calls to talk to them anyway, which is really odd. I really do need a haircut. The funny thing is, that is what she does. We opened up our own hair salon about 1 year after we were married, and she is the only person that has cut my hair for the past 12 years. I did go to a cheap hair cutting place one time since I left, and it was really odd feeling. I will find somewhere to get it cut tomorrow, because I really need it cut. She called today, I didn't answer. Then she left a text saying we needed to go to the attorney's office and sign a quick claim deed for the house today or tomorrow. I replied about 3 hours later saying tomorrow. The hits just keep on coming. On the bright side, I do get to pick the kids up from school tomorrow. Yes, our divorce is final, and in our agreement, I let her keep the house. I know, really dumb on my part. I took nothing for the business that we started together and she got the house. I guess that is the blowback from being a nice guy. I get to walk away with just my stuff and start all over. The quick claim deed is just to get my name off the title. At least we do have joint custody, and I get my kids half the time, better than every other weekend. This is where the anger comes in. If I would have known she was going to be such a witch, then I wouldn't have been such a nice guy and gave her everything. I just really didn't think it was going to end up like this. Lesson learned, but expensive lesson. I'm doing my best, but it sure is hard. It would be so much easier if I didn't have to see her or talk to her so often. I mean, I still talk or see her every day because of something with the kids. She called earlier this afternoon to ask if I wanted to go on a field trip with my daughter in a couple of weeks. She couldn't go. Then started to try and criticize my choice of dinner for the kids. I just said, is that all you wanted? Then she said yes. I said okay, bye. I'm not gonna put up with that crap anymore. I'm not gonna argue. I'm just not gonna listen to it. We are not married anymore, and I'm not going to listen to it. I went to go get my hair cut earlier, went into one salon and they were booked up. The lady suggested I go just down the street. So I did. I walked in there and there were about 4 girls that used to work at our salon. I had no clue they worked there, and I didn't think they recognized me. I got my hair cut by a girl I didn't know and left without talking to anyone. About an hour later, a girl that used to work at our salon friended me on Facebook. She works at the salon where I just got my hair cut, but she wasn't there. About 10 minutes later, my ex called asking why I friend her and why I disrespected her by going to that salon when I knew all those girls worked there. I told her that I didn't know they all worked there, and it was just bad luck I even ended up there. She was just livid and screaming and calling me every name in the book. Then she texted me that if I buy a house in what she calls the hood, she was going to fight me for full custody. She and her sister befriended me on Facebook. Boy, all I did was walk in and get a haircut. Guys, I think I am covered as far as the quick claim deed. It says in our agreement that she gets the house and I am free from any financial aspects of the house. I really have had my fill of her crap. I still have a bunch of tools and whatnot in my shop at the house, and we agreed verbatim to let me keep that stuff in there until I found a house. Should have gotten it in writing. She calls yesterday and says I have 30 days from the divorce final to get my stuff where she can donate it to Goodwill. Guess I'm gonna have to find a storage. Some of the stuff that comes out of her mouth and things she texts. I really think she has lost her mind. My comment, just ignore her, ghost her. There is no point of dealing with her anymore. Focus on new women. There are plenty out there. But if you focus on yourself, there's always someone waiting for you in the corner. Work on yourself, your body shape, your income, and most importantly, your confidence. If you agree, sub and hit that bell and enjoy your weekend. Thank you for joining me on this emotional journey. If you found this story compelling, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more real-life stories. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What would you do in this situation? Your insights might help someone facing a similar dilemma. Welcome back to our channel, where we delve into the extraordinary stories of everyday people navigating through life's challenges. Today, I have a tale that's sure to grip your heart and leave you on the edge of your seat. It's a story of betrayal, resilience, and ultimately triumph. In Exposed, my husband's shocking betrayal led to a miraculous comeback. The story of how I fought back. We'll follow the journey of Madison, a woman who faced unimaginable hurdles in her marriage but refused to be defeated. So sit back, relax, and prepare to be inspired by Madison's unwavering courage and determination. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on another captivating story. Now, let's embark on this incredible journey together. Our daughter has passed away. In a somber voice, my mother conveyed this to my husband over the phone. What? Our daughter? You mean Madison? Yes, my daughter. Your wife, Madison? She's gone. Even over the phone, I could tell that my husband was in a state of shock. My husband's actions towards me had been incredibly cruel. Now is the time for him to face the consequences. My name is Madison, a 35-year-old housewife. I was raised with my younger sister under the care of our father, who worked as a bus driver, and our stay-at-home mother. My father was always kind, and my mother had a gentle personality, so our family relationships were good. My responsible younger sister is still single and focused on her career. Jacob, my husband, and I met at work and fell in love. He was tall, handsome, and kind, making him quite popular among our colleagues. As a plain and timid person, it didn't take long for me to fall for him. When he approached me, according to him, he preferred someone with a good personality rather than someone glamorous. Soon after, we got married, and I became a housewife to support my husband. We were blessed with a daughter named Lily soon after. With the financial assistance from my parents, we were able to build a nice house. I should have been at the height of happiness. That is, until I discovered my husband's true nature. After our daughter was born, my husband's attitude gradually became more arrogant. First, he stopped calling me by my name. Hey, whenever he had something to say, he would address me like this. After giving birth, I struggled to lose weight, and my husband started mocking me. Aren't you ashamed of having that kind of figure? You chubby old lady. Around this time, my husband started coming home late at night or early in the morning. I started noticing a scent of perfume on his suit. Since it became a daily occurrence, I finally confronted my husband about it. Taking care of a child is tough for me, too. Instead of going out drinking every day, could you spend more time with our child? Then my husband suddenly became angry and threw a chair at me. I don't drink because I like it. It's part of my job. Why don't you understand? You fat slob. You're the one who has an easy life doing the same things every day at home. If you have complaints, go on at work. But you can't, can you? My husband shouted at me in a loud voice. After that, I became too afraid to say anything that would anger my husband. At the same time, our monthly living expenses were reduced to only $500. You're just a bored housewife, right? Figure out managing everything with this, okay? Naturally, I couldn't sustain our living with just that. So I started dipping into my savings from when I was single to make ends meet. My life was becoming more difficult day by day. However, when I thought about my younger daughter, I couldn't bring myself to leave the house. But the truth was that I couldn't ignore the pressing need for a solution. Utilizing my design skills from my previous job, I secretly started doing freelance work from home. Before I knew it, I was earning a salary comparable to my husband's. With the financial issues resolved, several years had passed without us divorcing. It was on a certain holiday when Lily turned 3 years old. My husband's phone started ringing while he was in the bath. Unusually, he had left it out on the desk. I ignored it at first, but it kept ringing persistently. So I quietly peeked and saw a woman's name on the screen. I realized that my husband had another woman. When my husband came out of the bath, I calmly told him, "Your phone was ringing." I could tell that my husband's expression changed. "Did you look at my phone?" "Huh? No, I didn't." I lied to my husband as naturally as possible. In response, my husband entered the bedroom with a disgruntled expression. Unconsciously, tears started streaming down my face. I thought to myself, I can't let it end like this. I started secretly recording conversations with my husband using an IC recorder during this time. Furthermore, I hired a private investigator and obtained solid evidence of his infidelity. When our daughter turned 5 years old, the decisive event finally happened. Even now, thinking about it terrifies me. There was an abnormal increase in days when my husband wouldn't come home. He would always claim it was due to business trips. But as someone who worked in the same company, I knew there were no such business trips in his department. What an insult. I had reached my limit with him, going to see his affair partner even while lying with a lie that I could easily see through. During this time, I seriously contemplated divorce. That morning, my husband suddenly announced while coming down the stairs that he had to go on a business trip. Since there wouldn't be any decent meals at home, I might as well eat something good on my business trip. With his snide remark, I finally exploded with anger. "What did you say? What do you mean there won't be any decent meals? Stop joking. I make dinner every day even though you rarely bother to eat it. And where do you go while claiming it's a business trip? I have the evidence that you—" The moment I said that, my husband flew into a rage. "Shut up. Stop saying unnecessary things." He said that and pushed me forcefully. My husband looked down at me, sprawled on the floor, and I easily left the house. I was surprised by the sudden turn of events as my head hit the floor. However, shortly after, my consciousness started fading little by little, and everything before me turned completely dark. When I regained awareness, I found myself on a hospital bed. My daughter and parents were looking at me with worried expressions. "Mommy, are you okay? Lily, did you help me, honey?" As I tried to hastily get up, pain shot through my entire body, according to my parents. Miraculously, the injuries were not severe, and they said I could be discharged the same day. Yeah, I called Daddy because Mommy got hurt. I told Daddy to come back, but Daddy said he couldn't because of work. So I called Grandma, taking over for our tearful daughter. My mother continued. So I called the ambulance. I was really scared, you know. "What happened, Madison?" I asked the nurse to take my daughter outside the hospital room. Then I confided my parents about the countless cruel things I had endured from my husband. Both of them listened subtly, and then my father spoke. "I see. You don't have to endure anymore. Come back home. And we need to settle things with him properly." By revealing everything to my parents, I finally made up my mind to put an end to this marriage. Our family held a meeting right there, and decided to launch a big act of litigation against my husband. The next day, my husband called my cell phone. My mother answered the call. "Our daughter has passed away." My mother delivered the news to my husband in a solemn voice. The phone was on speaker mode. Of course, I was also recording the conversation. "What? Our daughter? You mean Madison?" "Yes, my daughter. Your wife, Madison. She's gone." I could sense my husband's panic even through the phone. My mother continued to pile on him. It seems that she fell and hit her head hard on the floor. Do you have any idea what could have caused it? No. Then my husband, with a feigned voice of tears, said, she was as cheerful as usual this morning. Why did this happen? I suppressed the urge to scream. You're lying, bitch. Anyway, where are you? My mother interrogated my husband with anger. Well, you see, I'm currently on a business trip. It will take me half a day to get back home. Come back immediately, then. We're going home with our daughter now. My mother hung up the phone after saying that. We hurriedly made our way back home. At the same time, I quickly gathered the evidence of his past infidelity, including the voice recorder, and consulted with a lawyer. While I was at it, I checked our bank accounts and life insurance policies and confirmed that my husband hadn't made any changes yet. Preparing for a confrontation with my husband, I evacuated my daughter to my sister's house and waited for my husband's return with my parents. After a while, my husband arrived home. What? Who is she? Suddenly, I widened my eyes in disbelief. To my astonishment, my husband returned home accompanied by another woman. He, who had been informed of my death, was left speechless by the fact that I was still alive. Madison, you're alive? Why? More importantly, who is that person? What? You can't be serious. Did you deceive me? My husband's voice was filled with shock. Not as much as you did. So, who is that person? Weren't you all supposed to be at your family home? What are you talking about? This is my home. Isn't it? Forget about that for now. Who is that person? No, it's not like that. This is someone from a business deal. Just as my husband started to explain, I laid out the evidence of his affair that I had obtained through a private investigator on the table. According to my investigation, this person seems to be a woman in these photos. What is this? They are probably fake photos or something. Fake, you say? Well, why don't you take a look at the dates on the photos? And this is what I wrote in my diary. My husband is on a business trip. When I called the company, they said he took paid leave. Who was deceiving whom? You have some nerves, ain't that? Then why is she here today? All of the haze. Well, there was a matter that needed attention. Just as my husband was about to respond, the woman interrupted. I'm Anna. I've been dating Jacob with the intention of getting married. Are you Jacob's older sister? What? His sister? I'm Jacob's wife. Surprised by my response, she spoke in a shocked voice. Wife, Jacob told me that he lives with his sister. What are you talking about? I'm his wife. As I responded with disbelief, my husband started to look frightened. However, even in this situation, my husband stumbled and attempted a feeble counterattack. Well, there's a reason for this. I'll explain later. Promise. It seemed like she understood the situation by now. Jacob, you told me that your sister has passed away, didn't you? What does it mean that you have a wife? She confronted my husband fiercely. I also immediately confronted my husband. For these past few years, you've been cheating on me behind my back. And you even pushed me and caused me injury. Who? Jacob? Did you really do such a terrible thing to your wife? Unbelievable. So the same thing could happen to me too, right? Anna said with a half-exasperated expression. True. I love you. I really do. Love her? So that means you admit to cheating on me, right? I joined in the confrontation. No, it's just that. So this is what they call a chaotic situation. My husband panicked, but I remained calm. My parents were looking at my husband with even colder and more distant gazes. There was not a trace of love left for him within me. Divorce. Let's end this and go our separate ways. I'll also break up with him. Simultaneously, Anna and I discarded my husband on the spot. Just pushing me alone is already a serious crime. Furthermore, there is evidence of your infidelity. So be prepared for a huge amount of compensation. To think you were a married man. I truly despise you from the bottom of my heart. I also demand a suitable apology from you. So be prepared for that. Anna was also furious and directed her anger towards my husband. In response, my husband brazenly started making desperate excuses. It's not my fault that medicine fell on the floor. She tripped on her own. Do you have any evidence that I pushed her? Is there anything to prove it? In disbelief at my husband's attitude, I took out an IC recorder. It contained a vivid recording of a sound when he pushed me. In addition, all the past awful remarks he made towards me are perfectly recorded here. There's no escaping from it anymore. You idiot. Furthermore, Anna added, I have email evidence as well. It proves that we met at a matchmaking party, and that he referred to you as his sister. Unable to make any more excuses, my husband finally lost his temper. "Shut up, you fat cow. If you were gone, I was planning to be with Anna using your life insurance. She is the daughter of an executive from a business partner. If we got married, my promotion was guaranteed. It's all your fault, Madison." My husband started throwing whatever was within reach at me and even attempted to grab me. At that moment, my father swiftly restrained him in a stranglehold. My father is skilled in judo. Then, with my husband immobilized, Anna delivered a double slap to his face. "This one is for me, and this one is for Madison." Saying so, she ended with a powerful knee kick to his sensitive area. As he writhed in agony, I whispered quietly to him, "Regarding the life insurance, my parents are beneficiaries, considering the worst-case scenario. Either way, he won't get any money from me. By the way, do you remember who the house is registered to? My parents put money into this house, so it's under their name. If you understand, then leave quickly, okay?" Anna added fuel to the fire. "So, you're dating me because I'm the daughter of an executive. It's a shame things didn't go as you planned. Goodbye." After a while, the divorce with my husband was finalized. I received all the compensation I could get. Instead of my ex-husband leaving, I ended up living with my parents. Subsequently, my husband's relationship with Anna became known at his company, and he was demoted. Naturally, her parents were furious, and they broke up as well. Furthermore, even at his new position, my ex-husband couldn't get along with colleagues and ended up resigning. Anna also demanded compensation, and his retirement funds were nearly depleted. Currently, my ex-husband is in the process of job hunting, unaware of all this. Anna and her parents discussed it, and she ended up apologizing to me with a letter and even paid damages. Seeing Anna crying and apologizing to me, even though she wasn't at fault, I honestly felt sorry for her. By the way, she soon met someone through a matchmaking and got married to a genuinely single and sincere man. I was relieved to hear that she was able to marry successfully. As for me, my freelance design work from home was going well, and I succeeded in starting my own company. Initially, it was a small company with a few employees, but our performance steadily grew. Recently, the number of employees has increased significantly, and we plan to buy a building next year to expand the company. As for my daughter, she didn't feel lonely even after her father left. In fact, she strongly recognized him as a bad person who didn't come to help when mommy got hurt and never wanted to see him again. In our peaceful and harmonious days without fights, my daughter seems to be growing happily. The other day, filled with gratitude, I invited my parents and sister on a family trip. Not only we could relax at a leisurely resort, but we also found financial stability and peace of mind. I genuinely felt happy. "Hey mommy, I want a cat," my daughter said while eating a meal during our trip. "A cat? That sounds nice. Well, then let's go find a partner for you, Lily." "Oh, a cat. We love cats too. I wonder what kind of cat would be good." A few weeks after that conversation, a new member joined our family. It was a small and mischievous, adorable kitten. I can still hear my daughter's lively voice playing with the kitten today. After that, more good news followed as my sister got married. She finally met a kind and successful businessman. Moreover, she is expecting a baby. So our home will become even more lively from now on. May these happy days continue for as long as possible. Thank you for sticking with us through this intense and emotional story. If you found it as compelling as we did, make sure to leave a comment below and share your thoughts. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories. Hit the notification bell so you're the first to know when we release a new video. Until next time, take care and remember, sometimes the truth is more. Welcome back to our channel, where we dive into some of the most unbelievable and heart-wrenching stories about relationships and the twists life can throw at us. Today, I have a story that will leave you in shock and disbelief. Imagine finding out that your wife had a threesome just a week before your wedding. And if that wasn't enough, she then faked a pregnancy to try and get money from you. This is the story of betrayal, deception, and the quest for truth. Join me as we unravel the details of this jaw-dropping tale titled, "My wife had a threesome right before our wedding and faked a pregnancy to get money from me." Well, here goes. This is sort of embarrassing, but I just found out that my wife of just 3 years, I am 31, and my wife is 29, had a threesome 1 week before we were married. The most horrible thing is, from the looks of it, she was never going to tell me, and I would have gone on living my life thinking she was this amazing person who did everything right. When in reality, she was just as flawed as so many of us are. We don't have any kids or any outstanding debt together. So, there wouldn't be any messy legalities to deal with. I don't know how to begin to rebuild trust with her, or if I even want to try. I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary, but like I said, I wasn't looking for anything, but I started to notice a few weeks ago. She would always hang out with a friend of hers and her husband, a lot, even canceled a few of our plans to go hang out with him or do something with just the three of them. I confronted her about it, and she said that they were just friends with a long history and that I was being paranoid. I didn't want to believe her, but I had no reason not to, so I didn't really press. I trusted what she said and didn't bring it up anymore. A few weeks go by and I get a call from my wife's sister asking me what time would I be home after work. I was like, why? She said that she needed to talk to me about something, but couldn't do it over the phone. I told her I would be home in a few hours, and she said she would come over then. When I got home, my wife's sister was at the front door. As soon as I walked up, she told me that her and her husband had been talking and they thought that I should know that right before I married her sister. Her sister had a threesome with the couple she hangs out with a lot. I said, what, you're joking? She says, no, I'm not joking. She said that my wife told her and swore her to secrecy. I hesitated for a second and said, swore you to secrecy? Why are you telling me now? She said, because she thought you should know, and that if it were her, she would want to know. I went into shock. Couldn't believe it. She even described the events of that night in detail to me. She said that her and her husband had been debating for months on whether or not to tell me, but they decided that I deserved to know. They didn't want me to find out some other way and think they were keeping something from me. I thanked her for telling me and we hugged. She left. I go inside and sit on the couch in shock and in disbelief. I gather myself and I call a friend of mine about what I was just told, and he recommended right away that I confront her about it. My friend said, I will be careful about what you say and how you say it. You don't want to make things worse than they already are. I thought about what my friend said and decided that I was going to wait until the next day to talk to her about it. The next day at work, I couldn't focus on anything. All I could think about was what I had been told and what it meant. I came home from work and my wife was in the kitchen, cooking dinner. As soon as she saw me, she knew something was wrong. She asked me what was wrong and I said nothing. She asked me again, and this time I said, we need to talk. She turned off the stove and we sat down at the kitchen table. I looked her in the eye and said, I was told that right before we got married, you had a threesome with the couple you hang out with. Her face went pale white. She couldn't say anything. I asked her if it was true. She finally found her voice and said, yes, it's true. I asked her why she did it. She said, I don't know. I was drunk and it just happened. I asked her why she didn't tell me. She said, because I knew you would be hurt and disappointed in me, and I didn't want to lose you. I asked her if she loved me. She said, yes, of course I do. I asked her if there was anything else I should know. She said, no, that's it. I told her I needed some time to process what she had told me and left the room. A few days went by and we didn't really talk about what happened. We just tried to act like everything was normal, but things were not normal. I couldn't get the image out of my head of her with another man, let alone another couple. I started to doubt everything she ever told me. I started to question our whole relationship. I mean, she cheated, we were engaged to be married, and she cheated, plain and simple. A few days after that, I came home. She was sitting on the couch and I just flat out told her I wanted a divorce. She begged and pleaded with me, saying she was sorry and that she would do anything to make it up to me. I said, no, I'm done. I can't trust you anymore. I told her she betrayed me and kept it a secret and I wouldn't be able to look at her the same. She started crying and I just walked away. When I walked away from her, she pleaded one last time to give her another chance. I just simply said, I can't, and left. I went to a hotel and stayed there for a few days just to clear my head. I came home and she was gone. She had moved out. I don't know where she went. The next day, I called a few divorce attorneys in the area to see what my options are and start the process. The attorney I settled on said that since we don't have any kids and no assets together, this should be a pretty easy divorce. Fast forward a few days, my soon-to-be ex-wife's sister calls me and says she needs to talk to me about something. She comes over and we sit down, and she tells me that her sister is pregnant with my child. I was in complete shock. I didn't know what to say or do. I asked her when she found out. She said a few days ago. I asked her sister, why didn't my soon-to-be ex-wife tell me? She said, because you two were not talking and you would probably use it against her in the divorce. I said, wait, I want to make sure this baby is mine. Then her sister interrupts me and says, it may not be yours. Then I said, let me guess, because of the couple she has been cheating with. She said, yes, it's possible. She then said, what are you going to do about it? I told her I didn't know. I needed some time to think about it. Even if the baby is mine, I am still going through with the divorce. I just can't be with someone I can't trust. A few weeks go by and my soon-to-be ex-wife's sister calls me back and says that her sister wants to talk to me. She comes over and we sit down at the kitchen table and she says, "I'm sorry for what I did. I was drunk and it just happened." I said, "Yes, you were drunk, but that's not an excuse." I then told her we don't need to talk about that anymore. I have made my decision. She then said, "I know you're going through with the divorce, but I want you to know that I'm keeping the baby regardless if it's yours or not." She then said, "I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me someday." I told her I forgave her a long time ago. I just can't be with someone I can't trust. After we had that discussion, she leaves. A few weeks go by and my attorney says that he has finally gotten around to filing the divorce petition. I am new to these forms, but I have a lot to think about if this kid is mine and the upcoming divorce. I appreciate the support I got. I have to make sure I make the right decisions. I know I am with the divorce. I can't be weak and take her back because she has a baby on the way that might not be mine. I will come back and give an update on my situation. I don't know when that will be. Hello everyone. I wanted to give an update on my situation since finding out that my wife of 3 years had a threesome 1 week before our wedding. Since then, she has moved out. I found out that she has been living with her sister and is hanging out with her friend and her husband. And supposedly she is pregnant with my child, possibly twins. My soon-to-be ex-wife has tried to get back together with me. It seems like almost every week and I keep telling her there is no chance of that happening. Seems she doesn't get it, or maybe she is just hoping that I would change my mind. Anyway, fast forward a few weeks and my attorney informs me that the divorce hearing is scheduled almost a month away. I go to the divorce hearing and find out that my soon-to-be ex-wife is also asking for spousal support, even though she is the one who cheated and is currently living with her sister rent-free. The judge decides to decline a request for spousal support, saying that she has no basis for spousal support and you have only been married for 3 years. The judge asked both attorneys if there was anything else and both say no. And the judge grants me the divorce. I didn't lose anything. A few weeks after the divorce, I found out that my ex-wife's sister kicked her out of her house and she is now living with the couple that she had a threesome with. I also found out that she is not pregnant and was never pregnant. I was shocked that she would fake a pregnancy to try and get money from me, but I guess she would do anything to get what she wants. And to my surprise, she still calls and sends text messages. I don't respond to either of them. Anyway, I want to thank everyone for reading this and supporting me. I am still heartbroken over this, but divorcing her was the best thing I could have done. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as gripping and shocking as I did, please give this video a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update on our latest stories. Until next time,
Hey there, friends. Buckle up because you're about to hear a wild story that will have your jaw on the floor. So here's how it started. I've been suspecting something fishy for a while, you know? My wife, Jenna, always had this look, like she was hiding something. Like when she'd jump at every text notification, or how she'd suddenly started working late but never talked about her day anymore. Weird, right? So, I did what any guy in my shoes would do. I hired a pie. Yeah, a private investigator. Guy was like something out of a noir film, trench coat and all. When he first showed up, I half expected him to light up a cigarette and start talking about some dame in distress. Anyway, this pie, let's call him Jack, he gets to work. He's got gadgets and gizmos. Felt like I was in a spy movie or something. He starts tailing Jenna, taking photos, the whole 9 yards. And me, I'm trying to act normal, keep the home fires burning. I'm making dinner, asking Jenna how her day was, all while wondering what Jack's finding out. So, a couple of weeks go by, and Jack calls me for a meeting. We sit down in this dingy diner, the kind where the coffee's too strong and the pie is too sweet. He slides this envelope across the table. Inside, there they are. Pictures of Jenna and our neighbor, Rick. Rick, of all people. The dude borrows my lawnmower every other Sunday. And there he is, cozying up to my wife at some fancy restaurant, laughing at some joke, looking like he doesn't have a care in the world. I felt like I'd been sucker punched. Jenna and we'd had our ups and downs, sure, but I never thought she'd do something like this. And with Rick, it was like a bad joke. Rick, who'd come over for barbecue and beers, who'd talk about his fantasy football team like it was the most important thing in the world. And here he was, sneaking around with my wife. I remember driving home that night, the envelope sitting on the passenger seat like some toxic thing. I was angry, sure, but also just tired. Tired of the lies, the secrets, the not knowing. I parked in the driveway and sat there for a while, watching the lights in our house. Jenna was in there, probably watching some reality TV show or scrolling through her phone. And I'm sitting out here, with proof that our life together's a sham. So, I go inside, trying to keep my face blank. Jenna's on the couch, and she looks up, smiles, asks how my day was. And I just nod, say it was fine, nothing special. But inside, man, inside I'm a mess. I'm thinking about how I'm going to confront her, what I'm going to say. Do I throw the pictures in her face? Do I play it cool, gather more evidence? But for that night, I just went to bed, pretending everything was normal. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, thinking about Jenna, about Rick, about this whole messed up situation. And I realized something. I needed a plan. I couldn't just confront Jenna, not yet. I needed to be smart about this, play the long game. So, that's what I decided to do. I'd play the doting husband, keep my eyes and ears open, and figure out what my next move would be. Little did Jenna know, I was onto her. And Rick, Mr. Friendly Neighbor, he was going to get his, too. It was just a matter of time. One evening, Jenna sits me down, all serious like. She's got this rehearsed speech about open marriage and exploring ourselves. I'm just sitting there, poker-faced, trying to keep my cool. Inside, my mind's racing a mile a minute, thinking about those pies photos of her and Rick. But there I am, nodding like one of those bobblehead dolls, pretending to consider it. Jenna's going on about how we've grown apart, how we need to find ourselves again, you know. All that self-help mumbo-jumbo. She's talking about freedom and new experiences, but all I can hear is, I want to cheat without feeling guilty. The irony, right? There she was, pitching this idea to me, not knowing I already had the scorecard. I throw in a question here and there, playing the part of the intrigued husband. How does this work? Aren't you worried about our relationship? That sort of thing. And Jenna, bless her, she's got answers for everything, like she'd been planning this talk for weeks. Maybe she had. She talked about trust and honesty that almost made me laugh, and how it could strengthen our relationship. The whole time, I'm thinking about Rick, Mr. Nice Guy next door, who probably thought he was so clever. And Jenna, who was trying to paint this picture of a modern, open-minded relationship, when in reality, she just wanted her cake and eat it, too. So, I tell her I need time to think about it. It's a big decision, I say, and she nods, looking relieved that I didn't shut it down right away. She's probably thinking she's played her cards right, got me considering this wild idea. Little did she know, I was 2 steps ahead. That night, I lay in bed, Jenna's fast asleep next to me, probably dreaming about her freedom. And I'm wide awake, thinking about my next move. This proposition of hers, it was a curveball, but I could work with it. It gave me an angle, a way to turn the tables. I start imagining different scenarios, how to use this to my advantage. Maybe I could agree to it, see how she reacts. Would she jump at the opportunity, run straight to Rick? Or would she backpedal, realizing I called her bluff? But it wasn't just about catching her in the act anymore. It was about understanding why. Why Jenna? Why Rick? Why this whole mess? I wanted answers, and I wasn't going to rest until I got them. So, I drift off to sleep, a plan forming in my mind. Jenna wanted an open marriage? Well, she was going to get more than she bargained for. I was going to play the game, but on my terms. And at the end of it, I'd be the one holding all the cards. Before we dive into the next chapter of this roller coaster story, I've got a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying this tale of love, adventure, and unexpected twists, how about showing some love? Hit that like button to let me know you're on board. It's a simple click for you, but it means the world to me. It's like a virtual high five, telling me to keep the stories coming. And hey, why stop there? Go ahead and hit subscribe, too. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming up next. Okay, so here's the twist. I'm not just gonna sit around feeling sorry for myself. No way. It's time for some good old-fashioned cunning. I start planning, scheming almost. I'm gonna outsmart Jenna at her own game. How you ask? By becoming the most supportive husband on the planet. Yeah, you heard that right. I'm encouraging her idea, nodding along to her talks about freedom and self-discovery. All the while, I'm collecting evidence, making notes. In my head, it's like, two can play this game. So, I start this double life. By day, I'm Mr. Supportive, telling Jenna to explore, to find her happiness. By night, I'm like a detective in those old films, piecing together the puzzle. I'm checking bank statements for unusual expenses, noting down times she comes home late, even keeping track of her wardrobe choices. You'd be surprised what you can learn from a change in fashion sense. Meanwhile, I keep in touch with the pie, Jack. He's getting more into the nitty-gritty now. We're not just talking about tailing Jenna anymore, we're digging into Rick's life too. Turns out, our friendly neighbor isn't as clean-cut as he seems. Jack's finding connections to some shady characters, the kind you don't want to owe money to. In the midst of all this, I'm doing some soul-searching. What do I want out of all this? Revenge? Closure? I don't even know anymore. But one thing's for sure, I'm not going down without a fight. Jenna thinks she's playing me, but she has no idea what's coming. Every conversation with Jenna, every encounter with Rick, it's all part of the plan now. I'm watching, waiting for the right moment to strike. And it's not just about catching Jenna in the act anymore. I want to understand the whole picture, see how deep this rabbit hole goes. The strategy is simple. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Jenna's my wife, but right now, she's on the other side of the chessboard. And Rick, he's just a pawn in a much larger game. I start making subtle changes too. Working out more, dressing better, even picking up new hobbies. It's all part of the facade, this new version of me that's playing the game. Jenna notices, says I seem different, more alive. If only she knew why. As the days pass, the tension at home is like a ticking time bomb. We're both playing our parts, smiling and pretending, but the air's thick with unspoken truths. It's a psychological game, a battle of wits, and I'm determined to come out on top. So that's the strategy. Be the supportive husband, gather the evidence, and wait for the perfect moment to turn the tables. Jenna thinks she's in control, but she's just a player in my game now. And I'm playing to win. Now, while Jenna's off with Rick, I'm not just sitting around, twiddling my thumbs. Nope. I start my own adventure. Kinda like a side quest in a video game, you know? I meet people, make friends. It's a whole new world out there, and I'm diving in headfirst. Some of them are in similar situations, dealing with their own relationship dramas. Others are just interesting characters with stories that could fill a book. First up, there's Lisa. She's a bartender at this cozy little joint I stumbled upon. Man, she's got a sharp wit that can slice through the thickest tension. She has this way of talking about life, mixing humor and wisdom, that just makes you see things differently. We chat about everything and nothing, from the meaning of life to the best way to make a martini. She doesn't know my story, the whole Jenna and Rick saga, but her perspectives, they're like a breath of fresh air. Then there's Mark. Met him at the gym, of all places. The guy's built like a tank, but he's got a heart of gold. He's going through a rough patch himself, something about a messy divorce. We spot each other, not just with the weights, but in life too. He's got this positive energy, always pushing forward, no matter what. Makes me think, maybe there's a light at the end of this tunnel I'm in. These new connections, they're giving me something I didn't realize. I'd lost a sense of belonging, a feeling that there's more to life than this drama I'm in. It's weird, you know, finding fragments of yourself in strangers. They're showing me different paths, different ways to live, and I'm soaking it all in. I start trying new things, exploring new hobbies. I pick up a guitar, start strumming some tunes. I'm no Hendrix, but hey, it's fun. I even join a local book club, can you believe it? Me, discussing literature over coffee and pastries. It's a far cry from the late-night stakeouts and secret meetings. But here's the kicker: as I'm out there, living this parallel life, I'm learning, growing. These experiences, they're not just distractions, they're shaping me, changing the way I see things. I'm not just the guy whose wife's having an affair anymore. I'm more than that. I'm a friend, a musician in the making, a budding literary critic. And as I'm rediscovering myself, the situation at home becomes clearer. It's like stepping back from a painting and finally seeing the whole picture. Jenna's affair, it's just a part of a larger canvas, and I'm starting to figure out where I fit in it. So, while Jenna's off with Rick, living her double life, I'm on my own journey, finding new sides of myself, meeting people who light up different parts of my soul. It's an unexpected turn in my story, but hey, isn't that what makes life interesting? Things start getting weird, like really weird. Jenna's acting all jumpy, like a cat on a hot tin roof. Every time her phone buzzes, she's on it faster than lightning, and her eyes dart around like she's expecting the FBI to bust down the door. And Rick, oh boy, he's looking over his shoulder like he's the star of a spy movie. I'm telling you, it's like watching a thriller unfold right in my own backyard. This is where it gets juicy. I'm hearing rumors, whispers around the neighborhood. People are talking about debts, shady deals, and not so legal activities. Looks like our Mr. Nice Guy neighbor isn't so nice after all. And my trusty pie, Jack? He's digging up more dirt than a backhoe at a construction site. It's not just affair stuff now, it's big time trouble. Turns out, Rick's into some seriously bad business, the kind that gets you more than just dirty looks. One day, Jack shows up with this folder, thick as a novel. He's got bank statements, photos, records. It's like Christmas came early for a snob like me. We're talking illegal gambling, money laundering, you name it. Rick's mixed up in all sorts of shady stuff. And Jenna, she's right there with him, knee-deep in the mud. I start putting the pieces together, and man, it's like a jigsaw puzzle from hell. Jenna's nervous behavior, those late-night whispers on the phone, it all makes sense now. She's not just cheating, she's tangled up in Rick's criminal spider web. Now, I'm not just dealing with a broken marriage, I'm in the middle of a crime drama. And let me tell you, it's not as glamorous as it sounds. I've got to tread carefully, play my cards right. One wrong move, and I could end up in a world of trouble. But the plot thickens, I'm seeing changes in Jenna that I can't ignore. She's not the same woman I married. She's secretive, paranoid, and I can tell she's in over her head. Part of me wants to confront her, shake her out of this nightmare she's walked into. But the other part, the cold, calculating part, tells me to wait. Gather more evidence, build a case so airtight it could float in space. And Rick, he's getting more brazen, more careless. I see him around the neighborhood, throwing glances over his shoulder, meeting with shady-looking characters. It's like he's on a self-destruct button countdown, and I'm just waiting for the explosion. So, there I am, stuck in the middle of this unraveling mess. My wife's tangled up in a criminal's web, and I'm sitting on a mountain of evidence. It's a dangerous game, but I'm in it to win it. I'm not just going to sit back and watch my life crumble. No, sir, I'm going to take control of the narrative, steer this ship through the storm. But let me tell you, it's not easy. Every day brings a new challenge, a new twist. It's like living in a suspense novel, except the stakes are real, and the ending's still unwritten. One night, it's like a switch flips in me. Enough is enough. I decide it's time to confront Jenna. No more games, no more waiting. It's like stepping into the ring for the final showdown. I wait for her to get home, sitting in the living room, every light off except for the lamp by my chair. It's all very cinematic, trust me. She walks in, sees me sitting there, and I can tell she knows something's up. Her smile fades faster than a shooting star. I don't waste any time. I lay it all out, the affair, Rick's shady dealings, everything I've learned from Jack and my own detective work. I watch her face go white as a ghost. It's like watching someone realize they've been caught in a trap they didn't even know was there. Jenna stammers, tries to explain, but it's all excuses, you know? The kind of stuff you'd expect in a situation like this. It's not what you think, you've got it all wrong, that sort of thing. But I'm calm, collected, like a judge delivering a verdict. I tell her I know everything. Man, the shock in her eyes, it's something else. It's a mix of fear, guilt, and something else I can't quite put my finger on. But here's the twist, I'm not just angry. I'm disappointed. Profoundly disappointed. This was the woman I married, the woman I thought I knew. And here she is, a stranger in my own house. I ask her the questions that have been burning in my mind. Why Rick? Why lie? Why drag me through this hell? Her answers are a jumble of half-truths and tearful apologies. She talks about feeling lost, confused, about how things with Rick just happened. It's like listening to a script from a bad soap opera. I sit there, listening to her unravel the web of lies she's been weaving, and it's almost surreal. This confrontation, it's not just about anger or it's about closure, about ripping off the band-aid and facing the wound underneath. I needed to hear her say it, needed to face the reality of our broken marriage head on. And then, I do something that surprises even me. I don't yell, don't throw accusations or insults. I simply tell her that I can't be part of this lie anymore. That the woman I loved, the woman I thought she was, would never have done something like this. It's a quiet moment, but it's powerful. The air is thick with unspoken words and shattered illusions. As the night wears on, we talk more about us, about what went wrong, where we go from here. It's not a pleasant conversation, but it's necessary. We're like two actors at the end of a play, taking off our masks and seeing each other for who we really are. So, that's the confrontation. It's not a fiery explosion of drama and tears. It's a quiet implosion, a realization that sometimes things just can't go back to the way they were. And as I go to bed that night, I know that a chapter in my life is closing. A painful, messy chapter, but one that's taught me more about myself than I ever thought possible. So, Rick's world starts crumbling like a cookie in a toddler's fist. The cops get involved, and it's not just a small-time thing. We're talking raids, flashing lights, the whole 9 yards. Turns out, Rick's been neck-deep in illegal activity stuff that makes a soap opera plot look like a bedtime story. And Jenna, oh Jenna, she's terrified, realizing she's been playing house with a bona fide criminal. It's like watching a house of cards in a windstorm. One minute Rick's Mr. Respectable neighbor, next thing you know, he's being handcuffed and shoved into a police car. The neighborhood's buzzing like a kicked hornet's nest. Everyone's got theories, but I'm sitting back, watching the show with a bucket of popcorn. Metaphorically speaking, of course. Now, Jenna, she's in full panic mode. She comes to me, all tears and apologies. It's like a dam's burst, and years of lies and deceit are flooding out. She's blubbering about not knowing the real Rick, how she got caught up in the thrill of it all. But here's the thing, I'm done. Totally, utterly done. I've seen a different life now. One where I'm not the punchline in someone else's joke. I tell Jenna it's over. No dramatic shouting matches, no throwing plates. Just a calm conversation, which almost makes it worse, right? I've had enough drama to last a lifetime. She's begging, promising change, but it's like the ship's already sunk, and she's offering me a bucket to bail water. The next few days are a blur of moving boxes and legal papers. It's weird how quickly a life built together can be dismantled. I'm dividing up possessions with the precision of a surgeon. Every item is a memory, good or bad, but I'm past clinging to the past. As for Rick, the guy's toast. Legal troubles up to his eyeballs. And the neighborhood turns into a real-life crime drama set. People can't stop talking about it. I even overhear a couple of kids trading Rick stories like baseball cards. In the middle of this chaos, I'm finding peace. It's like I've walked through a storm and come out the other side. I'm reconnecting with old friends, picking up hobbies I'd forgotten I loved. It's a rediscovery of who I was before Jenna, before Rick, before this whole mess. Jenna moves out, and the house feels different, emptier, sure, but also like a weight's been lifted. I'm turning over a new leaf, rediscovering joys in the little things. Morning coffee tastes better, the sun seems brighter, and I'm smiling more. It's not happiness, not yet, but it's a start. I realize that this downfall, it's not just Rick's or Jenna's. It's the end of a chapter in my life too. But every end's a beginning, right? I'm standing at the start of a new path, and for the first time in a long time, I'm excited to see where it leads. So here's the kicker. Jenna's fairy tale turns into a nightmare. Her affair blows up like a firecracker in her face. Rick? He's trading his suburban castle for a jail cell. And me? I'm like a bird that's just been let out of a cage. Free. It's a whole new world, and I'm standing at the threshold, ready to take the leap. I'm not just talking about moving on. I'm talking about a total life overhaul. I've got these new friends, see? Lisa and Mark. They're like my partners in crime, but the good kind. We've bonded over shared experiences, over stories and laughter. They've shown me that life's got so much more to offer when you're not stuck in a toxic loop. We're planning this road trip, something I've never done before. We're talking about hitting the road, no set destination, just the open highway and a world of possibilities. It's like one of those movies where the hero hits the road to find himself. Only this time, it's not a movie, it's my life. And Jenna? She's become a chapter in my old life, a lesson learned. I'm not bitter, I'm just done. I've turned the page on that part of my life. There's no revenge plot, no grand confrontation left. Just a quiet acceptance and a determination to build something new. As I pack up my car, I feel lighter, like I'm shedding a skin that no longer fits. I've got my guitar in the back seat, a bag of clothes, and a heart full of hope. Lisa's planning the playlist, and Mark's in charge of snacks. It's a motley crew, but man, it feels right. We hit the road, and with each mile, I can feel the weight of the past fading away. The open road is therapeutic, like a balm to my soul. We stop at diners, chat with strangers, and watch sunsets that paint the sky in colors I've never seen before. This journey, it's more than just a road trip. It's a journey of self-discovery. I'm learning to laugh again, to take risks, to live in the moment. Lisa and Mark, they're not just friends, they're my lifeline to a world I'd forgotten existed. Night falls, and we're sitting around a campfire, sharing stories and dreams. I look up at the stars, and it hits me I'm exactly where I need to be. I'm not defined by my past, by Jenna, or by the mess she left behind. I'm my own person, with a future as wide and open as the night sky. You won't believe what happens next. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the rest of this jaw-dropping saga. Trust me, you're going to want to